Hi everyone. So I was tagged for this video, and I thought that whilst I'm preparing to shade this lovely girl face, I will film it and answer the questions. So first of all, what I'm doing is I am coloring in Zodiac Witches by Deborah Miller, and this is Taurus girl. I don't think there are two of each in this book, but I don't think I colored the other one, so I think this is my first Taurus in this book. I based her face in Pro Marker. So I wanted her to have a slightly darker tanned skin tone because she looked kind of summery. She's got a straw hat and the weather outside is great. So I thought, let's get her a little bit more tanned. So I used Pro Marker, which is very helpfully named Tan. And now I'm just putting a very, very light layer of this Faber-Castell Black Edition skin tone. So those skin tones, 12 Black Edition rather, pencils. So because her skin tone is quite dark, is 785, and I'm just really putting it down. I can't even see it, but I just don't want then shade her face straight over the marker. I wanted a layer of pencil, so just putting very, very light layer of that color. By the way, if you don't want to be heavy-handed and do really light layer, just hold your pencils further up. So even if you wanted to press hard, actually not really, you're not gonna be able to do that. So that helps with light layers if you're heavy-handed, which I sometimes am heavy-handed. So yeah, so back to the tag. So the tag is called Coloring Goals 2024. I believe it was created by Jazzy Doodle Designs, and I was tagged by Christopher from Christopher's Corner. So yeah, go to both of the channels, Jazzy Doodle Designs and Christopher's Corner. Check them out, give them some love. I will link their channels in the description box below. So yeah, let's go back to questions. So the first question is, do you have strict coloring goals for 2024 or more loosey-goosey? I'm not sure what loosey-goosey is, to be fair. I'm guessing that that's somebody that does not make strict plans. So that would be me. So no, I don't have any plans for 2024 apart from color a little. So I've learned very quickly in my coloring life and coloring journey that I really am not suited to making plans, because I tried it at the very first when I started coloring, and I even probably have somewhere the very first, well, the very first, not very first, one of the first videos that I did, which was, I had this brilliant, I thought, idea that every month, I mean before every month starts, I will pick 10 books that I want to color in for that month. And I will color in them. It doesn't matter how many pages, whether that's 10 or 20, but I will color in those 10 books. And I've done it only once, because I very quickly discovered that no matter how much I like the books, once I kind of restrict myself to 10 books, all I wanted to color was anything but those 10 books. Clearly, this kind of oppositional personality come to play. As soon as I set that type of goal, or I will, like, I don't know, I will color only mermaids in May, then I want to color everything but mermaids. So there is no point. So I only made one of those videos. I did that month restricted myself to 10 books, and I was very unhappy about the fact that I restricted myself to the 10 books. So I've never done it since. And I've learned not to set that type of goals because I want to normally do exactly opposite. So yeah, no goals whatsoever, and that works well for me. I don't know which books I'm going to be coloring each month. I am not going to make any videos like my plans for next month or whatever, because, you know, I just said what happens when I do that. So no, I don't want to restrict myself. Whichever takes my fancy to color, I do color, and this is how it's going to be. So that's that one. Next one is, how many pages do you want to color this year? Well, that kind of follows from the first questions. I don't really know, and I don't care how many pages. I never set that type of goal. My average is between 10 and 15. I think the most I've ever did was 17 in 1 month, but that was, I think, only 1 or 2 months. Usually is anything between 10 and 15. And it's going to remain that way because I don't want to set goals like I want to do that many pages, because it will just stress me out. You know, my work is stressing me out enough. I don't need coloring to stress me out as well. So yeah, I also have other hobbies, so I knit. So sometimes there are some weekends, because the most time I have to color is in the weekends when I'm not working. And sometimes I don't want to color, I want to knit, or I play video games as well. So I don't want to set any set of goals of how many pages. I just noticed I missed a bit of her skin, so we're going to remedy that in a second. So yeah, I have no idea. I mean, my average is, like I said, 10 to 15 per month, and it's going to remain that way, I would imagine. Let's finish her skin, because this is, I missed that bit. Sometimes you don't see those little bits and pieces. First time round, I missed her ears as well. And then I've noticed, and I still miss them. I have to wait until it dries. So let's have a look at next questions. What coloring medium would you like to learn or improve this year? So probably watercolors, I would say. I'm not very good with watercolors, but that requires either, well, that requires a watercolor paper, because there's no point practicing watercolors on the wrong paper, because that will not teach you anything, basically. So I don't want to buy coloring books. I've got enough books as it is. I don't need those. Sorry, this is my tiny Bister Polychromos, just to begin lightly shade in places, but it's, again, it's going to be very light, so I'm not even sure whether you're going to see that. I normally do faces like by many very, very light layers, because it's much easier to remedy any mistakes when you've got when you do it slowly and by very light layers. So that eliminates the possibility of making like huge mistakes. I mean, I'm still gonna make mistakes, but those will be mistakes I'm prepared to live with. So that's that. So yeah, I'm just gonna very lightly begin to place some darker areas on her skin. There is another color that I will put a little bit of deeper shadows, but generally I like subtle shading on the face. I don't like this dramatic, you know, that like from very, very light, almost white highlights to very, very deep shadows. It's just personal preference. I prefer subtle shading because like when you take a photo and you look at somebody's photo, they don't have, unless it's artistic photo, specially lit to create those very massive contrast. People faces are just, you know, three-dimensional, but not very dramatically shaded. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Where were we? Oh, medium watercolor. Yeah. So I think I even bought a watercolor paper. So basically I'll just have to print something on watercolor paper and give it a try, because I'm not very good in watercolors. But also, to be perfectly honest, I'm not like terribly committed to this process of getting better in watercolors. I think all I did from beginning of the year is to buy a watercolor paper, and I haven't even printed anything on it or try it. So my commitment to this process of improving myself in watercolor is rubbish right now. Not impressive. But yeah, if anything, it's probably gonna be that. So yeah, I think that next one is, what technique would you most like to improve? I don't know, any technique that would help me to improve the hair coloring. I keep saying the hair in portraits. So I like to color people, fantasy people, like mermaids, fairies, you know. So I don't want to say humans because technically mermaids, you know, not so much. But yeah. Well, are mermaids human? I don't know. It's a philosophical question on mermaids right now. So yeah, I like to color people. Let's say that. I'm not always coloring them realistically, but I like to color people, and therefore hair is important in coloring people portraits. And I'm not very good with hair. And I watched like tons of tutorials by all sorts of talented people. The problem I have with them is that they usually show it on grayscale coloring. First of all, I'm not a huge fan of grayscale. I've got some semi-grayscale, but actually I gave away some grayscale books because I just don't like a lot of gray in the face and everywhere else. So, and in grayscale anyway, you already have your highlights and shaded areas, so it's kind of easier. I think where I have a biggest problem is where there isn't, where it's just like outline of hair, for example, and there is nothing in it, and I find it really hard to kind of make it look realistic from that point. I mean, I've got some portraits that I've done that are, you know, decent, I would say, acceptable. But I think hair is difficult for me. So whatever technique helps me to make it more to make it more realistic and better, that I would like to do. Skin is fine. I don't mind shaded skin. I mean, you might not be a fan of the way I do it, but that's a different thing. But I'm happy with the way I do it. So, but hair, I'm not really. I struggle with hair. Find it the most, and funny enough, I thought it would be the other way around when I started. I was scared of coloring people, but not for long, because I really wanted to color people. So I thought that I will never be able to do portraits, so I never bought any. So a lot of my books, I got very excited at the beginning of my coloring and bought tons of books straight away. None of them had any portraits because I just thought I would be incapable of doing them, and therefore I won't like them. And then I discovered that actually this is what I like, and I then gave away a lot of those books that I bought because I just didn't want to color flowers all the time, and I still like to color flowers, but only now and again. I prefer people, so there we go. Any technique that will help me to improve my hair game. So next question is, what spending or collecting goals do you have? I don't have spending goals or collecting goals. I buy a lot of books, but not to collect them as such. I actually buy them with the view that I will color in all of them. I want to color in all of them. I don't want to just collect them. It's obviously a very unrealistic expectation on my part of how much I can do in those books, realistically. I just love them. So I spend much more money on coloring books than on supplies. I don't have a huge amount of supplies, which probably just tells you that you don't need a lot of supplies, actually. Mind you, you don't need that amount of books either that I have. Nobody needs that amount of books. But hey, I have very few vices, and that is one of them, and it's fine. I can live with that. So I don't have spending goals. I try to buy a little bit less books, but not so much because of anything, just because the most of the books that I wanted I have. So I'm looking at the new ones, really, like, you know, mythographic. I love mythographic, so if they come up, buy them whenever. But so yeah, so generally I would prefer to buy less books, only because I already have loads. It's more of a probably space issue than anything else. And that's it, really. In terms of collecting, I don't really collect anything. I don't collect supplies. I don't have a huge amount of pencils. So there's that. Not really spending or collecting goals. Next one is, what book do you most look forward to working in this year? Oh my gosh, that's a very difficult question. I don't think I've got one book. There are many books that I look forward to working, but I think if I was being honest with myself, it will be mythographics, but it will be all mythographics. I don't have specific favorite artists from mythographic. I like them all, and I like all of my mythographic books, and always makes me happy when I color in them. So they definitely, hands down, my favorite. So I think collectively it would be all mythographic books that I'm looking forward to. coloring this year. The next one is, what creator goals do you have? Doing a live videos, body colors, etc. Again, I don't really have massive creator goals. I work a lot, so I don't have huge amount of time, so I need to be realistic what I can at this stage of my life realistically do and not do. I've got lots of ideas for future, like series maybe of videos, but right now I don't really have time to do that. And also I'll need to buy a new computer because I'm using my laptop that I used for gaming a while now, and it's beginning to struggle, my laptop. So probably I will need to look into replacing my computer. I mean, I had a laptop because I didn't want like a stationary computer. I like to take my laptop in, you know, different places and use it. And I don't think I need laptop and a computer necessarily. So I don't know, I have to think. Right now my laptop is struggling with larger files, like videos, which is why my videos are usually quite short. I don't think I've done more than like 1 hour videos at this stage. So yeah, so I think in the future, yeah, but right now I think I'm just gonna stick with what I'm doing. Okay, so now I think I'm going to use this Faber-Castell Black Edition 783. It's a lovely color. It's one of my favorite from this pack because it's cool tone. So I put Bister on her face a little bit, which was warm tone, but I think we're gonna cool it down a little bit by going over that initial shadows very lightly with a layer of cool tone with a slight tiny pink or even purple undertone. It just, I find, create a more realistic skin tone. It's a really nice skin tone pencils, by the way. I still prefer my polychromos, but for shading faces, my hands down favorite, but those are really nice too. And this color is beautiful for shading faces. Okay, I got distracted. What we were talking about? Creator goals. Yeah, okay. So I do body colors already. Usually it's like 1 a month, sometimes 2. That's because, again, I don't have that much time and I hate to keep people waiting for me. Like when when I'm struggling to with time to finish my body color or something, and people have to wait for me, and I don't like to keep people waiting, so I try to kind of limit myself to maybe 1 a month so that I can do it, in a reasonable time and don't keep people waiting. So yeah, so I continue to do that, and like I said, I've got some ideas for future series, but right now I'm just want to do the videos for the series that I already have on my channel, which are a couple of them. So yeah, so that's that one. And next one is, what new to you artist will you be adding this year? So I actually add some new to me artists every year, and that's thanks to the series that I have on my channel, which is called In Focus, which I some of the artists are not unknown by any stretch of imagination. Some of them are quite well known, but they don't seem to be getting so much kind of traction on social media and YouTube as I think they deserve. So I like to bring some attention to them, but inevitably by researching different things, I always find somebody that is new to me, whilst coming up with the ideas for this series. So I found some wonderful artists last year I really love, and this year, I mean, I definitely have some later in the year, but I don't want to spoil the surprise of who might be in Focus series. But to date, I just recently did a video on Raisa Tinoco, Brazilian artist. She only has one book on Amazon, and sadly, this is a double-sided Amazon book, but I love the art, so I colored in that book actually. Imagine, in Amazon double-sided book. So you can't use markers and stuff, but I think I will also copy some of her art, some illustrations from her book onto different paper, because I would like to use more media than just pencils, basically, which, you know, thin Amazon paper and double-sided, you're kind of limited really to pencils. I actually used a watercolor for background, and the paper I use it, you know, with very little water, so it didn't even warp that much, but because it was a darker background, you can literally see through the back of the page, which is not ideal. On the other side of it, you know, so the other illustrations has like a darker background already, because it's like you can see through the page. So yeah, so I think I will copy some of her illustrations on better paper and try some other media like markers and stuff. I like to use markers as well as base usually. So yeah, Raisa Tinoco, amazing. I'm so happy that I found her. Amazing book. So yeah, if you want to see the book and kind of check out who I'm talking about, you can pop in to the playlist. There is an In Focus playlist and find her on my channel. Amazing, amazing art. So yeah, I would say most recent was Raisa Tinoco. That's why kind of she sticks in my head, because it was, yeah, very recently. But there are other artists from last year, like Emilia Ziomek, my very first In Focus featured artist, amazing portraits, Annie Wahlqvist. So yeah, loads actually. I like discovering new artists, and I like supporting human art and artists that are somehow underappreciated, I think. I love the, you know, the very popular artists as much as anyone else, and I do color in them, in their books, but I like to support the less popular ones. Okay, so next one we have, do you have a book you would like to complete this year? I mean, I've got plenty of books that I would like to complete last year, but this year rather, but it's unrealistic, so I don't think I will be able to complete any books this year. Realistically, I think realistically, I might be able to complete 2 books next year, on, you know, in which I'm making progress now. So this is actually one of those books, Zodiac Witches. I really like this book, still makes me very happy to color in it. And yeah, I don't think I will be able to complete this one this year. I've got too many pages left. I think there is 30 maybe images here, or 31. And I've done, you know, I've done quite a bit. I have maybe like 8 or 9. So yeah, realistically, I won't be able to complete this one because I'm just not somebody that can color in one book like all the time. I like variety, so I add maybe like 1, maybe 2, sometimes pages per month to this book. So I've done anyway a lot, considering, but no, realistically, I won't be able to complete it this year. Oh, by the way, I'm now using Nougat from Polychromos. This one is not as tiny, but you can tell. See, that's my cinnamon and Bista, which are actually identical length. So those are the 2 color, and cinnamon is great for vases. And they tiny. I already bought backups because I cannot live without those 2. Nougat is also well used, but not as much as the other 2. So there we go. We're making the shadows tad darker in places, but again, very lightly. So unfortunately, shading faces takes me hours and hours and hours, but this is a happy spent time because I really like the process. I like to watch how face in a portrait becomes 3-dimensional as we progress. So yeah, this is very therapeutic for me. So yeah, 2 books that I would like to complete next year is this one, Zodiac Witches by Deborah Miller, and Astro Mandalas. This is like a little book that I have by Design and Torah publisher, French publisher, and I think there are like 25 mandalas there. So I've got few, maybe like again 6, 7, which actually I need to go back because at that speed I won't complete it next year. So yeah, I would like to complete the Astro Mandalas and Zodiac Witches. And then next year I probably pick some books that I would like to eventually finish. I mean, eventually, to be honest, I want to finish all my books, but that's not realistic. That's not going to happen. But I would like to pick up some books. I haven't done it this year because I've got loads of books and I do not color for long time yet. So this is, hold on, this is maybe 2 years now, just past 2 years, 2 and a bit. So I didn't have any books that I would have like loads of images finished. I still don't have that many. But I will pick some next year that I would like to color more than others. But knowing me, if I do that, see, that's what I'm worried about. That if I do that, then immediately I will want to color anything but those books. But we'll see. Maybe I'll pick some and see how we go. won't be able to like color in them every month probably, but yeah, we're gonna try that in January. How about that? Okay, next one, and that's a last question. So last question is, what is best benefit of coloring to you? So I am going to say stress management. I'm not gonna say coloring is de-stressing, because nothing is de-stressing for me. It's more about managing stress rather than getting rid of it completely. I don't think I'm able to get rid of it completely. So it's all about stress management, and it does help me. So that's why my hobbies are, knitting is the same, you know, it's something that keeps your hands busy, but kind of not so much your head. I mean, yeah, of course you have to pay attention, and in coloring choose the colors, and in knitting make sure that you know, keeping to the pattern or stitch count or whatever. But that's still quite kind of routine and low-key, so it's not stressful doing that. It's more like kind of routine tasks that help me to manage stress. I've got a very stressful job, which is not gonna ever be less stressful. It's just the way it is. It is a stressful job, and it will be a stressful job until I retire, which I still have. Unfortunately for me, I would love to retire, believe me, tomorrow, if I only could, but no, I can't do that yet. So yeah, I've got a good few years before I can do that. So not soon enough. So yeah, because it's a stressful job, and I'm rather normally quite an anxious person, not like clinically anxious, obviously, but you know, I am a bit. So yeah, so I get stressed at work big time. So all my hobbies help with stress management, basically. And sometimes, you know, when I color, I've got my TV on, and usually it's like YouTube coloring videos. So I sit at my desk like here and color, and I've got TV just over there, and TV is on, and there is some coloring content on. But there are some days where I put something on TV and I color, and like 2-3 hours later I realize that it's very, very quiet, because you know, the TV switched itself off eventually, and I didn't even notice. And it's like I was coloring for like the last hour or so in total silence and haven't even noticed. So sometimes that happens. So yeah, all my hobbies are to help me to be less stressed, basically. I don't know about less anxious, but less stressed. And you know, that helps. It helps, I have to say. I don't even know, because I'm still putting a very light layers, if you can see anything, that her face is beginning to be a little bit kind of three-dimensional. It's not there yet, and it's far from. I have to say, we're not there yet, but it's beginning to be three-dimensional. So I think what I'm going to do next, just to show you, because I have not finished with the nougat yet, but I will show you. Because I don't like faces to have like orange undertone, which is why I use Pro markers, because the Hoohoo markers I find too orange based and yellow based, and Pro marker has some really nice cool tone browns. This is not completely cool tone, but it's cooler, so it's fine to put some warm browns on it, like I did with Vista, because it's still, her face will retain a more neutral kind of skin tone rather than be orange or yellow or something like that. But to cool it a little bit after putting some warm tone browns, I'll put cinnamon, which is pink based, and I feel like, you may disagree with me, it's fine, disagree to your heart's content. It's totally personal opinion and preference. So see, like in here, I feel like this is more natural skin tone. It has this little bit of pink in it, which gives it a bit of life, for a lack of better word. And it's just, I don't know, it's such a nice, earthy, kind of dusty pink that works so well for skin tone. I love this, love this pencil, Cinnamon, from Polychromos. Pencil I cannot live without when it comes to portraits. I'm pretty sure I've used it in every single portrait coloring that I ever did. I literally cannot imagine the life without Cinnamon in Polychromos. How funny is that? It's my favorite pencil. As far as skin tones go. So yeah, see, this is kind of what I want to achieve eventually on the rest of her face and the rest of her body. But we've done all the questions, so we're gonna stop there, and I want to thank you for watching. Thank you, Christopher, for tagging me in these videos. I feel very flattered that you thought about me. Thank you so much. I really enjoy your channel if you're watching. Same with Jazzy Doodle Designs, which I discovered her channel this way, and I'm very grateful for that. So it was a very interesting and fun tag to do. I'm not going to tag anyone in particular, but if you want to do this, then by all means, the more the better, I think. More coloring content, the better. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you shortly. Bye.